Welcome, everybody, to Evolution 2026, day 4. We are live, and these calls have been awesome. These calls have been really, really good. We've had a tone that's been set, and today we keep that going with resident Uper like myself, born and raised in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, Kyle Berry. How are you, Kyle?
Good. Although I think I lost my Uper card when I hadn't been back for 20 years. So I'm a Coloradan now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and I only live 3 hours away, and I never get home that much, so I can't imagine
I
how
know,
often
right?
you get home from Colorado. So Kyle, I'm going to tell a touch of our story before I ask you who you are. I have known you
Okay.
since 6th grade. I met you pretty much right away when Aspen Ridge, our new middle school, became a thing because you're Barry and I'm DeCramer. Our lockers were right in between Matt Cody. So we were like kind of instant
Oh,
friends through
yeah.
middle school and then through high school. And then I lost touch. You joined the military. I did my crazy life. We didn't really see each other for 20 years until you came back home and we seen each other at our class reunion. So this connection is super cool for me. But for those who don't know, who in a nutshell is Kyle Berry?
I am Kyle. I joined the Army, the American Army. I know there's some Europeans or there's a world population in this group. So joined the U.S. Army in 2004, right out of high school. Um, Spent a lot of years at corporate, jumping out of airplanes. Felt like college wasn't for me out of high school, so I enlisted. Um, Ended up doing some time as a recruiter during that time. Since recruiting is kind of in the business world, I ended up with a bachelor's degree in marketing. Um, Found my way to commission in the Army as an officer because I had a bachelor's degree. During 2 years in ROTC, I did an MBA. So I've got 2 degrees paid for by the U.S. Army. I was a power lifter for a while, and a lot of this is on the introductory call we did. I power lifted for a long time. At 30 years old, I had to go to Army Ranger School. So I kind of dropped the weights, and that's where my endurance journey kind of started. Endurance, professional, I use the word athlete loose. Uh, the endurance sport has just shifted my mindset and my focus to show me what's possible because it's the hardest thing that I've done. Lifting weights is 30 seconds per set. It's different when you're running a 50K and it takes 9 hours. So that's kind of why I've leaned into the endurance sports and shifted how I think about things to make me really a better person. So in a nutshell, that's me. Outside of pointed questions, I don't know what else you want to know.
No, actually, we can. That's a great introduction. So one thing that I love that you say is make you a better person, but we're going to come back to that.
Okay.
You were 30 years old, you said, when you joined the army, when you decided to go to Ranger School. You talked about that a little bit in your meet and greet call. What was that like to kind of be? I know that's probably a young man's thing when you're, and even 30 might not seem old, right? But in the military, stuff like that, 30 is kind of, you're getting up there. What was that like entering into Ranger School at 30 years old?
First, I didn't decide to go. Let's get that right. And then before we start, I just got to hit a standard disclaimer, and we've got to agree to a few things. This conversation might get rooted around the Army, so I just want to say up front, my views don't necessarily reflect the views of the U.S. military as a whole. It's just my experience. Second, unattributional. If we start talking about things, it's okay that we don't agree with each other. We'll just come at it through a creative thinking lens and encourage each other to be better. So that's what I got to get out of the way first.
I like that.
I went to ROTC in Hawaii from 2014 to 2016. It was a 2-year program. I stayed on active duty. So at the time, I was a staff sergeant in E6. They PCS'd me to Hawaii. So it's a permanent change of station. So essentially what I'm saying is I went to Hawaii as an E6, but my job was to go to college, get a master's degree, and then 2 years later commission as a lieutenant. With a marketing degree, and I was doing an MBA program at the time, I figured logically I should commission as a transportation services officer, a quartermaster, or some type of logistical thing in the military at this point, I'm about 12 years into my career. I wanted a relevant experience job-wise to retire with some skills I could pay the bills with, right? So put into application my 2 degrees. That's not how the Army works. I don't know everybody's experience with it, other than Brandon did a little stint in the National Guard, which I'm not discrediting. But the Army said, nope, you're fit. We're going to commission you in the infantry. So with that, it's some weird fallacy that the Army has, or their logic is Ranger School, you have to have a Ranger tab to be a good infantry officer, is kind of a illogical fallacy that they think. So once I commissioned infantry, I had to go to Ranger School. Didn't have to, but strong armed into it, had to go. And at 30 years old, it's definitely it's a young man's game. And everybody in here, oh, 30, that's not old. You're midlife. In the Army, 30 is old.
Yeah.
Let's just get that out of the way. I spent my from 18 to 28 or so jumping out of airplanes, and that's not like you go to a football game and you see them parachuting in and landing soft. This is a parachute that you're under combat load, so 75 pounds, and the parachute is designed to get you to the ground safely, but fast enough that you don't get shot in the air. So you're coming in about 12 to 15 miles an hour sometimes, hitting the ground hard. So by the time I'm 30, my knees hurt, my ankles hurt, my back is stiff, but I'm still relatively fit. So yeah, it was a young man's game, but the thing about Ranger School is you kind of leverage everybody's strength around you. So
Quickly,
while I
because you brought
say,
it up, we do
yeah,
have a lot of members from around the world, and maybe those who don't know, just kind of quickly, what is Ranger School when you're in the military? I know, but I always assume other people don't do. I got to stop that bad habit. What is
or
Ranger School?
I was going there, I was going to get there, but let's do it. Ranger School is the Army's premier leadership school. Um, you go there, you strip rank off your uniforms. You're just a name and a number. I was a lieutenant when I went. There was privates there. There was colonels there. You don't really know who everybody is, and that's the point. Um, so you're here not to learn how to lead. You're here to learn what you can do at your absolute worst and how to leverage everybody's talents when we're all cumulatively at our worst. You eat twice a day when you wake up and when you go to bed. You walk 12, 10, 15 miles a day. You're constantly moving, and you get about 3 to 4 hours of sleep. And that's 60 days. So every day, same thing. Wake up, eat, plan a mission, walk the mission, walk after the mission until you find a spot to sleep, eat real quick, go to bed. 3 hours, 4 hours later, they wake you back up, rinse and repeat for 60 days. And when I say it's a young man's game, the way you get through it is you leverage everybody's talents around you. So I'm 30. I'm not carrying the machine guns. The young guys are doing that. I'm going to help the young guys, though, because of my experience, plan the mission, make it make sense, and kind of just motivate everybody through it. So that's how the Ranger School experience kind of, one, teaches you what the bottom looks like and how to leverage those around you to achieve a common goal. And basically what you can get out of yourself at the worst.
And it's a pretty like prestigious thing. Not everybody makes it through that 60 days, correct? What would be like the turnover rate?
I wouldn't know what the graduation rate is or what the washout rate is. I mean, I'm sure it's available on Google. I can tell you, one, not everybody passes. I had to recycle the first phase. And so you get graded. There's a few things. You get graded on patrols you lead. So how you do in leadership, if the team fails or not, right? So everybody else determines your grade basically when you're in a leadership role. And then between each phase, they have an opportunity for you to peer review each other. So if you're not a good teammate and people don't like you, they can vote you out. So like I said, I wouldn't know the washout rate. It's not 100% pass or 100% fail. It's pretty low. I think 1% of the military has a Ranger tab.
Wow.
So it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, the Army puts a lot of emphasis on people passing that school. I've gotten more jobs within the military than I care to admit, because the first thing they do when I interview for it or meet somebody is look at my left shoulder and see if I have a tab or not. And you can see them doing it. Like they just look to your shoulder. It's like, he's got it. He's cool. He's good in my book. He's passed something hard. And it's a weird discriminator because there's a lot of good people I went to Ranger School with who didn't pass. That are great leaders. They're great people. It's just they got hurt or whatever, or they quit. You know what I mean? It's just this weird high emphasis placed on having a tab, and I don't know. It's
It's
helped
like
me more than
the
it's hurt
Ivy
me.
League of the army, or would you say that?
Say that again.
It's the Ivy League university
Eh,
equivalent of the army, or you wouldn't say that?
something like that. Yeah, it's just a doer school. You're on the ground, you're in the suck. Um, and if you pass it, people think highly of you. We have other uh, like gentlemen's courses where when you're a colonel, lieutenant colonel, you go to like the Ivy League schools and really learn how to plan at a higher level. But this is just like a fraternity. We'll call it that, a fraternity that gets you in a lot of places.
Okay. And after after Ranger School in your 30s, did you do any tours or any combat with that?
Yep. So my first assignment as an infantry officer after Ranger School was in Second Brigade at Fort Carson, Fourth ID at Fort Carson, where I showed up because I had a tab. My battalion commander like met me at reception. So reception is you go there for a week or two while you're in processing. You get all the paperwork. Welcome to the post. Let's get your finances right before they send you to a unit, and you don't really have time to pay attention to that stuff. So my battalion commander met me. He's an O5. I'm an O1 at this point. Met me at reception because I had a tab. Shook my hand and said, "I've got a platoon waiting for you." So I immediately walked into a platoon leader role. Did this 10 or so month intensive train up and took my platoon to Afghanistan in 2018.
When's the So you're still, I guess I'm even kind of a little bit confused. You're still active duty, correct? And you still have like a full-time active army military job along with
Yep.
your endurance and everything else that you're doing in your life?
Yep. So I did about 4 years in the infantry. Went from lieutenant to captain. About the time I made captain, this thing called a voluntary transfer incentive program is available or opens up to you. And I said, man, I'm what, 34 at this point? It's like I can't. The infantry's a young man's game. Like I've been there. I had my fun. I got the experience. So that's when I transferred to Army Space Operations. So now I sit in a SCIF, a secure compartmentalized information facility, and just do secret squirrel stuff at a desk, which is totally fine by me. I've got nothing to prove. Uh, but this gets after my ends of what can I retire with to have a second career, because when I retire this year, next year, I'm 40, 41, I can still work. What pays the bills after the army, and what skills did I get in the army to really facilitate that? So that's where I'm at now. Space operations, not the Space Force. The Army's been doing it way longer than anybody. Nobody knows about it. Uh, but I'm kind of like a planner now to help facilitate the war fighter, so to speak.
Man, did my conspiracy rabbit hole brain just come up with a bunch of questions I'm not going to ask on this call? But
If you, yeah, I'm just the same thing I tell my dad and my brother. It's like if you can imagine it, probably true. But it's also not as cool as you think. So just curb your expectations.
I like that. Yeah. Um, are you guys following 3IA Atlas at all? The comets?
No, I don't. That's all Space Force stuff.
Yeah.
The Army's space is we have satellites in space that enable communications on the ground. We have GPS. It's all really space based assets that we help facilitate and leverage, keep in the fight, that help the warfighter win. The Space Force is more concerned with stuff out there and on orbit.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. I'm not gonna go down that. We're not gonna go down that rabbit holes at all, but I was kind of curious. I did. So you've been doing that now
Can't hear
since
you
you
again.
left the infantry at 34. You've been doing that since you left the infantry at 34 years old. Then like grabbing issues. Can you hear me, Kyle?
Brandon, I can't hear you or see you
Y-
now.
Can you hear me now? Oh, this got to be on your end, by the way. Because I think you might be no. Uh oh.
Well, I can hear both of you.
Yeah. You
Is it
can't
my
hear me
internet or
now,
yours?
huh?
I feel like it's on your end, Kyle,
Yeah,
because
because I can hear Dinka hear me, we can hear you, but you can't hear me. Be get closer to the internet signal.
Okay, I got you now.
Okay. So I'm gonna skip what I just said actually anyway. Oh,
All right, fair. Good.
hey, so you have been an Army Ranger, you've jumped out of airplanes, you have beat up your body. We'll get to more of this. You've done the half Ironmans. There's a lot of times where your body has been there for you. Has there ever been a time where your body has kind of not or let you down or maybe struggled through some of this stuff? mean,
Now, other than like, I'm 40. I'll be 40 in March. It hurts to get out of bed, and that's just chalk it up to a life well lived. No, I think it's a rare exception where I have remained relatively injury free. I have MRI confirmed no meniscus in my knees anymore. Um, I just think the muscles in my leg around my knees, kind of like Australian rugby players, is keeping me going. Uh, but no, for the most part, I've been very healthy. I broke my hand twice. Once was punching a locker room door when I got ejected out of a high school hockey game. And the other one was punching somebody in the face at a bar. So self-inflicted, but otherwise my body has held up very well for the life I've tried to live so far.
and right now you train daily or like weekly in swimming, you ride your bike and you run, correct?
Yeah.
So
About
how do
14.
you
I
keep
think
your
this week I'll
body
hit 14 hours.
14 hours?
14 hours of training. Yeah.
Okay. So in 14 hours of training a week, for those of us out there, a lot of us touch on the fitness, and I know there's a lot of people that train a lot. How do you keep from getting injuries, from overtraining, from all of that? Walk me through a little bit of your routine there.
It's okay. So we'll talk in lifter terms because everybody kind of understands that endurance sport. And I tell my track star daughter this all the time. Progressive overload is the key. You don't come in and run 20 miles your first day, right? Just like you don't go to the gym and squat 300 pounds your first day, unless you're some freak. You work up to it. So I've worked up over the years 10 miles a week, 20 miles a week, 30 miles a week to build durability and strength in my body to be able to do it. And that's what we got to on the introductory call with. You said only 10 miles. No, that's good because that's where you're at and that's okay. Like everybody, you have to pay your dues. The progress is earned, right? You don't just jump in first day. You could go for a 20-mile run your first day, but then you're going to be tired, sore, hurt, and quit. So you've got to earn your progress and just progressively overload yourself day after day, week after week. And that's kind of the recipe, right? And everybody looks at the sexy Instagram like, oh man, he's at the track running 550 miles. That's one day a week. The other 90% of what you don't see is me out today on a long run at a 9-minute pace, going easy, jamming Taylor Swift. So
That's how I work
there's
out
like
too.
there's a couple things there. You gotta hammer it when it's time to hammer it, but you can't be afraid to take it easy. And that's where everybody gets wrapped up in today's like internet age is I only see the good stuff. No, the good stuff is what you don't see. So that's been my secret.
I like that. I like that a lot. I think this is a perfect time, Miss Thread Wizard. I think this is the perfect time, about a half hour in, to toss in some community questions. I see some
All
awesome
right.
ones coming in.
Yeah, I have
I
one that
also
I
I'll
really
add to
like.
that.
Sorry.
I'll add to my last thing too, just a nugget is I sleep like my life depends on it.
Hmm.
Um, and the one thing humans haven't evolved away from is sleep. So you've got to prioritize it and take your recovery seriously. And that's not just for athletics, that's for a good life in
Survival.
general.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Sleep like your life depends on it because if we didn't need it, we would have evolved away from it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I always say that sleep and water are the two most inexpensive ways to improve your health, and
Yeah.
it's not sexy. It's not a business model. You cannot sell sleep, but it helps a lot. So I have a question that I really like actually. So we're gonna start off with that. Can I ask you something, Kyle? Would you be so kind to take off your shades so that we can see your face? It
Yeah, it's
makes
just really
you
bright.
so much more personable. So this
Okay.
question is actually from our other fearless leader, David Ladin, and he asks, every superhero has a crack in their armor, a kryptonite, if you will. What is yours?
Yeah, I had to think about this. I kind of joked with him that I was going to spin it on him and make a weakness a strength, but I'm going to turn a strength into a weakness, I think is where I want to go with this. And I'll say, if you ask me professionally, and this is a two-part answer, if you ask me professionally in a job interview, what's your weakness? I'll say procrastination. Procrastinate more than I need to. But the panic monster always comes in at the last second and I get it done. So I'm a high functioning procrastinator in the professional world. And the way I spin that in a job interview is in the Army, we have something called tactical patience, where when things start to happen, I'm not going to freeze. I'm just going to take a moment, take a breath, digest all the available information, and then make an informed decision. So sometimes procrastination helps you if you think about it in that lens. So to answer Dave's question, in the frame of this conversation, I'm going to say a strength I have is grit, but that comes to bite you too, because in the beginning, when you're trying to make it, you do a lot of hustling and the grittiness kind of gets you through a lot. But what it hinders is your availability, ability, or willingness to ask for help. And that's something I've had to kind of figure out and wrestle with is, yeah, I can put my head down, grind and get through a lot of hard things or solve problems, but we could probably come to a better solution if we just stopped and said, hey, Brandon, you've built communities on school. Can you help me, man?
Yeah.
And it would save a lot of time and a lot of heartache. So in the past, I would stress and just grind through something, but we'll turn that into a weakness, right? It has really hindered my ability to ask for help when I need it.
I think the phrase I'm taking from this call is tactical patience.
Yeah, for one.
Honestly, everybody that knows me is like, yeah, you can use a little.
So I have a follow-up question to Dave's then. So what was the turning point, or when did that change? When did you recognize that you can or want to ask for help?
I keep the Army keeps, in my opinion, messing up and promoting me. I have lived at the execution end of the spear for 21 years. And it's easy when you're in front of people leading them to get a job done. It's not easy when you don't have any supporting cast experience or staff work, as we call it, to really reframe a problem and try to plan it on it. You hand me a loose plan and 12 guys and we will go get it done. But if you ask me to plan it on the front end, that's a hole in my swing. And it's been humbling the last year working on a 3-star. So I worked for a 3-star general on his staff. It has been humbling to see that end of Army operations where I don't know anything compared to everybody else. And I've had to learn that it's okay. You can lean on your peers and ask for help. And together we can make it happen.
And how did that translate into other parts in your life? Like not the professional, but like I can imagine that it's a skill that you probably just learn to implement everywhere. Did you see a difference in your personal life or in your friendships or other parts of your real life?
And that's what I struggle with too is I'm very stoic by nature. It takes a lot for me to open up and really become vulnerable.
Mhm.
Uh, so my New Year's commitment this year was to listen to the Bible in a year, not because I want to be religious, because I grew up confirmed Catholic, so it should have been a big part of my life, but I kind of got away from it. And I heard it yesterday in the listening. I'm not reading, but I'm listening to the Bible. I really just want to learn how to walk with God, but more so to take it one step deeper is just how do I open up, have meaningful conversation with loved ones, um, and really like cement good foundations. So to answer your question, I'm still working on it. This last year has been huge for me,
Mm.
um, and I don't have all the answers, but
Nobody
just try
does.
every day to get better at it and
Mm.
be okay with opening and being vulnerable and not being the sarcastic guy because I hide behind sarcasm
Mhm.
Yeah.
and just having deeper, meaningful connections.
I really like how you're going inward first. You're not like, how do I fix the outward communication? How do I fix all this? You're kind of like looking spiritually and inward, and then like, how do I help my loved ones? And that's similar to the route that I had to take. And I really I can really resonate with that. A lot of times we try to help or communicate or be there for our loved ones with what we got. And sometimes we got to go backwards and go inward and like discover ourselves. Do you think this year you've been discovering yourself a little bit more than maybe
I think so.
in the past?
Um,
Yeah.
it goes back to how can you go on a date with somebody else if you don't know how to date yourself first? Um, so you got to be okay with sitting with yourself. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Uh, I forgot where this was going. I had another point to bring up, but yeah, it's just you got to be okay with yourself first.
I struggled with this for many years, so I can completely
Yeah,
understand that. I was never okay
and
with
it's
looking at
not
myself.
a lot of times we want to be fixers and fix everything around us, but you got to really peel back the layers of the onion and look at yourself first. And that's kind of just what I'm figuring out lately.
Like Mark Lawrence said the other day, I didn't even look if he's on this call. But like Mark Lawrence said the other day, he's restarting his life at 65. He said on one of these calls yesterday, I think. And it's just amazing to think of like I thought for years, like, well, I'm like 38. My kids are getting a little older, like I don't have more time to like do another
No.
chapter. And here Mark is like, I'm 65 years old, I'm starting over. Like that really struck out to me because we're never done. We can always grow, we can always keep going. What do you see? Like you said, you got a couple of years left in the army. You could definitely you do your Instagram page, your races. What do you see like your next chapter being kind of?
Yeah, that's a good question. I save. So we live, my wife and I, she's a rock star, um, well below our means, as I think everybody should. We've got two paid off cars, and not they were nice cars. We've had them forever, right? We didn't buy them cash and pay them off, and they're not BMWs. We've just had them forever. So we save a lot of money because one, the point behind my working out is, and I always say it is, and I said it in the first call, shitting is a squat. I need to be able to get up off the toilet when I'm 80. And I want to be able to enjoy those years. So that's really the impetus for staying fit now is with an eye to the future. And then I don't want to work, and we kind of are on the same page with this, me and my wife. I don't want to work and grind and chase the hamster wheel forever. So we do a lot of saving now and really live. We don't struggle, but we kind of live paycheck to paycheck, but that's our own doing, right? So we're saving so much that when we turn 57, 60, we can all out retire and enjoy the golden years. And I think that's like I wish that for everybody, honestly is if you can enjoy the golden years when you have grandkids and you've worked your whole life, like you don't need to chase what's next. You don't need to keep chasing the promotion. Just have the humility to know when it's time to hang it up and just live and enjoy your life because like you said, we've got one. And props to your friend who said he's starting his life over or starting a new chapter. That's what it's all about. Just keep reinventing yourself
Yeah.
and it's kind of been the thread, right? So I'll go to I forget who asked the question. What was like one major life setback or something?
Yeah.
I teased it with uh, I had a major medical scare in 2010. I don't remember the year. It was like somewhere between 2010 and 2012 when I was a recruiter in New Jersey. But I had an ischemic bowel. So essentially, what happened is my intestines ruptured. I was on a bathroom floor just about passed out before like thankfully somebody like busted the door down and took me out and called an ambulance, got me to the hospital. Nobody knows what's going on. They finally contrast my blood, find out that my entire abdominal cavity is just filled with stuff and I'm about to go septic. So I was cut open from basically the crack in my sternum down below my belly button. And they removed half of my big intestine and 2 or 3 feet of my small intestine, sewed me back together, and I recovered fine. I lost a lot of weight. I couldn't walk for 30 days. I had to put a lot of effort back into like being strong and whatever recovery looks like, right? And I don't think the medical scare was really like that's the outer layer of the onion. And something I've struggled with since then is why did I survive? Like what is like any other person, if it happened any earlier in my life, because I guess the doctor found out it was a congenital disorder. Um, I was born with it. It should have happened when I was a baby. If it would have happened when I'm a baby, I'm going to probably die. If it happens any later in life, my body's not strong enough to deal with it, so I'm probably going to die. So it's like, why did it happen then? And why did I survive it? And that's kind of been like the reoccurring theme with what is my life? What do I want out of this life? It's kind of forced me to search a little deeper. Um,
Yeah.
and
What
like
kind
I
of things
said,
come up when
until
you ask
now,
yourself that question?
what's that?
What kind of things come up when you ask yourself that question? Why you survived? What do you
Nothing.
think?
I was too stoic to really deal with it. Um, and I kept pushing it off. I talked to priests and chaplains about it, and I wasn't really ready to hear anything or really commit myself to finding out why until last February when my grandma died, who is really the reason that I was grew up Catholic, went to church when I was a kid, even though I didn't like it. But she kind of forced that into our life, and just she's an all out good person, right? And I hadn't really processed that loss, and it's been 10 months. Again, stoic. This is a new year for me, and I don't know when it hit me or why it hit me, but it was really the impetus for going through the Bible in a year is to really try to seek out answers and not the religious answers. I want to seek out like the lessons and application of the book to just and I say it to be the light I wish to see. So
Yeah.
I'll give you a cop out. I don't know, but I'm still trying to find it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that was, that's your answer, right? That's where you're at, and I love the vulnerability
Yeah,
and where you're sharing that. Hey, I don't have all the answers, and this is where I am right now, entering this. So I thank you just for sharing that with us. Do you have any follow up questions on this, or
Yeah,
any?
I was gonna ask the question that Mark asked since we talked about him, Mark Lawrence. So he asks, "What is the single most important thing in your life right now?" And you kind of gave a little teaser that this is
it's
gonna go
probably
deep.
that.
So
Um, it's probably that. Yeah, it's for me right now is understanding the message in the Bible. And again, I'm not pushing religion. And I asked my wife if she wanted to do the Bible in a year with me before the new year started. And she was kind of hesitant and non-committal. And I kind of just let it be, you know what I mean? Because I don't want to be the guy forcing religion. I want to do it for me and to try to understand why my life has went the way it has. And finally yesterday, or 3 days into the new year, my wife had asked me if I had started yet. I said, "Yeah, I'm 3 days in." She's like, "Well, you've been doing it without me." I was like, "I don't want to push it on you. Like this has to be something like that we come to, and if we want to do it together, that's great." And that's even allowed us to take it even one day in just that much further. You have someone to walk through it with you,
Mm.
Yeah.
and grow together. So for me, that's the most important thing uh, in my life right now is they say it in Genesis, you look at me quote in the Bible. It's been 3 days. I know what I've read so far. Uh, you, the Lord was upset with Cain because he didn't give him his first harvest, right? So I want to
Yeah.
be able to give my best to my wife and my family and those around me. And I think that comes through just understanding at the spiritual level who I am. And I'm still trying to find that.
Yeah, I like that. It's kind of like a human condition, right? Like we're all wondering why or how, or we're wondering the inner workings. So every one of us has our own unique ways of how we search that out and how we try to find it unique to us. And I really love that you're not only reading something you're like, how can I apply this to my life? Because it's great, even if like the people, if you're like reading the stars or reading philosophy or the Bible or whatever it
Right.
is, if you just read something, but you don't like go, what does this mean to me? How can I apply it to my life? Then we're just kind of reading something. Right? So
Yeah.
I love that you're applying um, things like that for sure. Dinka, how about, I love these questions coming from the community. How about one more?
I actually have a follow up to this
Oh,
one. So, but
okay.
then you listen to a certain part of the Bible every single day, and then what is your approach or process after it? Do you contemplate on what the message is, or do you have like because I kind of feel like you are a systems guy, so I want to know what is your approach if you're willing to share.
I am a systems guy. I thrive in chaos though too. You pegged me as a systems guy, but I'm not as linear as you would think. I have a pretty good ability to start 100 things, go 1, 2, 3, 99, 98, 15, whatever, and then by the end of the day, it all comes together like a well choreographed orchestra. But
Organized
that's
chaos.
all in my
Yeah.
brain, right? I can't
Yeah.
explain it to anyone. You just got to let me cook, right?
Mm.
Yeah, and I don't want to be systematic with this. I just want it
Mhm.
to come to me. Um, so yesterday, for example, when we were listening to it on our car ride home from a hike, uh, like there's like 10 minutes of chapter reading by the podcast host, and then about 10 minutes of commentary, right? And
Mhm.
what that last one left us with was, how do you walk with God? Um, and then we kind of just talked about it for me and my wife 2 or 3 minutes on, yeah, that's exactly what we want. We don't really, and at this point, because it's just started, I don't want to take what the Bible says too literally. And that's not the basis of Catholicism, right? It's the Bible is literal. This happened. We're looking for kind of the hidden context on how to apply it, right? And that might come through the catechism, which we will go through next year once we have the basis for the Bible. But it's kind of just a quick discussion. And then we looked at each other and we agreed yesterday. And 2 minutes after we were done listening to us, that's exactly what we want. Just want to know how to walk proverbially with proverbial God. How do we be better people and do good? Um, so just kind of letting it come. We don't have a blocked off time checklist, notes
Mhm.
page. It just kind of hear it, let it sink in, hear the commentary, and then just I'm a big. There's memes about this too, and my wife is a planner. We'll go on vacation. It's itinerary. We got the flights booked, the hotels booked. I'm a huge. We just see where the vibes take us when we get there. So I just want it to come to me, and that's
Mm.
on purpose.
I love
My,
that because I actually also strongly feel that the magic really happens when you make space for it, when you empty yourself
yeah,
out to receive a certain message. And it's hard because we're conditioned to always have the next step figured out and everything
right.
lined up, right? It's against our nature. But I love that even though you say you're not a systems guy, that you intentionally don't make a system for it and just kind of let it
Yeah,
come to you. So I think it's really
and
cool.
yeah, and we've got 300 and what is 365 minus 4, 361 days left. I'm sure our process will evolve because all good processes should evolve,
Yeah.
but we'll just take it and how do you eat an elephant, right? Day a bite at a time, just one day at a time, one 20-minute chunk at a time, and let
Hmm.
this evolve into what it wants to be.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I think you should also enjoy it, right? Like this should be
Yeah,
a quality time that you spend together contemplating this and growing
yeah, and that's
together
why I didn't
from
want
it.
to
Mhm.
force it, right? If you want to do this with me, let's do it.
Mm.
But I don't want to force it. We need to come to this on our own, and everybody does. Is you can't, and because I grew up going to church, drug to church, and you don't really, if you're not all in on anything, and church is all in on hosting your school community. What's it going to turn into? You're not there. You're not invested, and that's kind of we're all in, and we're just going to let it come to us how it does.
Yeah, I like how you brought that into the school communities. It's the same thing. Like if people don't want to be there, if they're dragged into something, if you're dragging them to do something, it's the same thing. If you're running a community, a page, if you're trying to be of service, a church, whatever it may be, if someone's getting dragged there, they're not going to take the message. So they have to
Right.
want to be there to listen. So it took me 6, 7 stints in a spiritual sense at all to want to listen to the universe, God, my whole life. So I've had to come back to this too. I think when we don't want to, we're not going to hear it. And
Yeah.
I think, like you said, in your 20 minutes, you're going to hear different things. You're going to feel different things. I love that you and your wife are kind of doing it together. And then, like, hey, that struck out to both of us. So that's super cool.
Yeah, like
Um,
some of it I'm sure is going to be dry. Really, you can't. I don't think you can take a message or an applicable lesson out of every single day. But
yeah.
by then, it's just kind of paying the habit homage, right?
Ah,
You've
yeah,
just got to keep doing it.
yeah.
That's one thing we haven't really touched on with you. You are a big on like habit forming, stacking habits, celebrating daily wins. A lot of things that we do here in Evergreen Foundations, you've been doing pretty much your whole life and on your Instagram page and kind of the way you run your life. For our community, people who go through the 5 pillars, we celebrate our life in a sense of daily habits. What is one thing of advice do you have for somebody that's trying to create a new healthy habit in their life?
A new healthy habit. Just give yourself grace. Don't be too hard.
Oh, I love it.
You have to snowball
Mm.
the habit. Like we led this conversation with. If your goal is a marathon, don't do it day one. Go run a mile day one. Go run a mile day two. Go run a mile day three. 3-4 weeks in, now we're running a 5K. 3-4 weeks after that, we're running a 10K. If you stack, and that's the thing about habits, right? Is what is a goal? Something that is achievable. It's got to be achievable, but kind of just out of reach. If it's not achievable and you're going to quit, that's not your goal. You have to stack small wins, earn your progression, and not be too hard on yourself. Because even if you fail a goal, right? And what's my biggest fear in life? Failure. That's another question from the thread, right? And how do you spin that, right? It's okay. If I'm afraid to fail and I have a goal that's not achievable, I've started to define myself based on outcomes.
Mm.
And that's not healthy. Just like you're just 10 miles, but no, that's good. You ran 10 miles. Like, don't define who you are based on an outcome. It's, I've achieved this great thing. Now let's roll it into something else. I've I've run a marathon, but okay, let's step it back a little bit. I just spent 9 months training for this marathon, and now I'm healthy. I've lost some body fat. My heart rate is good. My cholesterol's probably fine. My blood pressure. So it's a bunch like running the race. The finish line at the race is not the finish line. The finish line of the marathon is the start because you went through the process and you're better because of that.
Oh, you know, I've never thought of that perspective. Before you even start the marathon, the race, the goal, whatever you do, if you've done the work to get there and you're starting, you're already winning. I've honestly, until
Yes.
this moment, I think that it's never really clicked in like that.
It's the marathon or whatever the goal is, right? If it's starting the school community, because I know there's a bunch of creators in here and I want to kind of frame it that way, is the converting leads to follows or signups isn't the goal. The fact that you went through the process to create the community, you saw a vision, you saw it through, the community is the victory lap.
You've been kind of touching on threads, but I think, is there anything else that we haven't asked from the community threads, Dinko? I feel like Kyle.
One,
I have one that is actually from me. I don't know if you remember that one, Kyle. What's wrong
I'm
with
losing.
crying?
What's that? Wrong, nothing.
What's
Again,
wrong
that's
with
something I have to
crying?
learn how
Yeah.
to do. It's something I have to learn how to do. Like I said, my grandma, I've been around loss almost my whole life. My grandma passed away last February, went to her funeral, internalized everything,
Hmm.
and that's not healthy, right? And I'm finally now being okay with processing it. And again, it's the army I grew up in, very toxic, masculine culture. You don't
Mm.
ask for help. I'm not hurt. Let's just keep going.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of things Gen Z, in my opinion, gets wrong. But one thing that is absolutely value added is self care and personal days, emotional health, and things like that. And it's our generation was just suck it up, boys don't
Yeah.
cry,
I feel
rub some
like
dirt
it's
on
kind of, when the pendulum swings to one side, then it's time to come back. So it's
it. Yeah,
the toxic masculinity or whatever you want to call it. It's an
yeah.
imbalance,
Nothing's
and
wrong with
now we're
crying.
yeah, and now I feel like we're coming back to the center where it's normalized or it's allowed to show
Yeah, you can be
emotion
in
as a
touch.
man. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm gonna say something, and again, this is a product of the era I grew up in. Uh, I'm only gonna say it for effect, and I mean no disrespect, no malice intent. But if I would have cried at the dinner table when I was a kid, my dad would have said, "What's wrong with you? You gay?"
Hmm.
And that's absolutely the wrong mentality to take. And it's okay to be emotional and be in touch with yourself in those ways.
So, but then it sounds like you received this programming way before you were in the military.
Yeah, I think it's the military culture kind of just exacerbates it, but I think
Mm,
it's a product of growing up through the late 80s and early 90s.
mm, yeah.
And the new generation is getting it right.
Mm. Well, I mean, for me, everything starts with awareness, and you're aware of it, and you, on top of that, you have an intention to unpack that and
Yeah,
explore it. So you're well on your way, I would say.
Trying to figure
trying.
out a way to word this. So, do you think there's a correlation between learning? Or when Dinka said, "Well, can men cry?" And he said, "Well, I'm still learning that." What about allowing yourself to? Do you think there's a correlation
Yeah.
between learning and allowing?
Yes, because I know it's okay to cry, but I won't allow myself to cry yet in front of people.
Yes. Okay.
And
Yeah.
that will probably come. But again, it's a product of surface level relationships. You have to be able to establish like a deep foundation or deep like rooted strong relationship with someone where you feel comfortable to be yourself.
Or
And
uncomfortable, right?
that's not your first persona, right? That's your third. If you're comfortable with my third persona, the persona I don't want anybody to see is crying in the shower. And once I move that into my first and second personas, then we're getting somewhere outside of surface level relationships. Uh, so yeah, learning. Yeah, I know I can cry. Like it's okay to cry. I know that, but I still am at the point where it's hard for me to allow myself.
Thanks for sharing that. That was an amazing answer. So, we've been talking for an hour now. We were kind of talking that you do endurance and stuff. But are you training for anything right now? Do you have any events coming up? Where are you at with your like daily training process?
Gotta get better at taking rest days. I train a lot. Again, training is the way I start my day on my own terms. It's the one thing I know I can control in the morning before anything else happens. So that's really like the center of the onion as to why do I do so much. Um, I'm going to Chattanooga, Tennessee it's in May to race a half Ironman, which is kind of what I'm building for now. Again, I would like to go there and do well, but the the deeper call it the center of the onion again is one of my best friends I met in college in Hawaii also does triathlons, and we take a yearly trip somewhere to go race with each other. So really wanting to do well is why I train, but really the reason I'm going is for community with people I get to see maybe once or twice a year. And that's the vehicle for it, right? Is I'm not a professional triathlete. I'm not a professional Ironman athlete. But I'll tell you what, I've never been to Chattanooga, Tennessee. I had never been to Des Moines, Iowa. I never been to Lubbock, Texas. I live near Boulder. I've been there. Oceanside, California. I just use these destination races as a way to go see someplace I would have not otherwise have been able to go see. And the training is what it is. I could go do a half Ironman on very minimal hours, right, and participate and finish, but I want to start my day on my terms. That's just a product. Like the training and the fitness is just a product of that rock I put on my calendar.
So in that same vein, I don't even know if this is a question. I just want you to kind of touch on this. As a father, I'm also a father, right? And we got a lot of fathers watching this call. You eat healthy, you take care of your body, you train, you show your kids how to rest, build habits, have some disciplines. What kind of effect as a father that does all that do you see that you have on your children?
Oh man, I've always been a not a do as I say, not as I do, right? So I like to model good, we won't call it behavior, habits, right? And I think you see the training, the rest. Our daughter's a very good track athlete. She's a sophomore in high school, up and comer in the running scene, and that's what everybody sees. But what they don't see is it's okay to drink a soda, to have a milkshake, as long as it's the 20%, right? And
Mm.
not the 80. So I just like to model sustainable behavior for others to see. And that brings me back to the Instagram channel too. I've got 3,500 followers, which in this realm of people with 20K and a million is nothing, right? But I did started a little experiment when I signed up for this call 3, 4 weeks ago now, maybe, where I had intentionally used Instagram. So I'm not meme scrolling. I'm not doom scrolling. I go in for 10, 15 minutes a day and intentionally interact with things that I like. Leave meaningful comments, again, people, because that's intimate, a human connection. This experiment opened my eyes to, and then I post, right, my daily training and just kind of showing up. So that's what you see at the surface. Over the last 4 weeks, I've had almost 50,000 profile views, which is up from a couple thousand a month when I was just randomly using Instagram. So what that tells me is, okay, I don't have a million followers, but people are watching. And as long as I continue to show up and model sustainable behavior, maybe it'll motivate someone to be a little better and go through whatever process they need to go through to make themselves that much better, to get to their finish line.
And isn't it beautiful once that happens, once you like you all you said that you do is you started to care a little bit. You started commenting on things, finding like-minded people, you're DMing them, you're showing them who you are, and then guess what happens? They watch your stuff, they like your stuff. Instagram shows you more. Community owners,
Yeah.
same thing, same thing.
Yeah.
We have if you go to the discovery right now for this community, you go to the discovery in the top for self-improvement, we're number 18 right now. Look at all 17 communities above us, thousands and thousands of members getting similar activity because we're right there. What
Yeah.
does it is when people care. So what they do is they relate with you, they care, they watch your stuff. Same thing in all of our communities. When people start to care, they start to show up and they start to support each other. I went to your Instagram the other day and there's people like bantering about their trainings and you're like connecting, you were like talking to somebody as you're running on your video. People love that kind of stuff. You
Yeah.
want to attach with people. And I love that you're seeing that with your experiment. I think we're seeing that here every day. Um, it's a cool human we don't want to scroll anymore. We don't want to get caught in the death traps. Loneliness and not knowing where we're going or what we're doing is an epidemic across this planet. Everybody wants to connect, and that's why school specific Instagram niches do well because they want to connect with something they care about. Um,
Yeah. And sorry.
no, I was thinking about it. You can go ahead.
Just to tie that back, right? What you said, good connection. I think the days of massive influencers are gone right now. It's like a micro thing. It's you've got 3 to 5,000 people, which is a fuck ton. If 3 to 5 people, okay, sorry, I swore. That was another ground rule I was going to say in the beginning. Is a rule in my house with my kids throughout the years was it's okay to swear as long as you don't swear at somebody, because then it goes from effect to bad behavior. So we don't swear at people. We just swear because it's part of being a human, I think. So if you're telling me 3 to 5,000 people like what I'm doing, that's a lot. Like there's not 3 to 5,000 people in my own neighborhood. So I think the days of chasing 10K, 20K are kind of gone, right? The same with uh, your communities is it's not the number of people following. That's just a statistic, right? And to bring it back to Simon Sinek's The Infinite Game, if you put a measure of success like that on your community, I want to get to 10,000 followers. Okay, what happens next? You have to keep thinking long term. So you nailed it on the head with, I want to have meaningful engagement inside of the community. Because if I've got 20,000 people who are just drive-by liking, what does that do? That does nothing. If I've got 1,000 people though, and each one of them want to drop a good comment and continue the discussion, in my opinion, that is way better than chasing an arbitrary number of followers. And it takes me to, I forget who asked it, something about what can I do in my community to make it better, right? Is someone asked that question. That's the last one I can remember. And I'm not a community owner. Take what I say with a grain of salt. I have business degrees. Um, I have experience writing strategy.
I have the question
And
here, Kyle, if you want me to read it for
okay,
you.
all right, good.
What
Yeah,
is the tip for creating consistency and commitment in the
yes.
community in a real way that has impact?
So as a consumer, and I thought about this running today and I had a lot. And that's where I get my best ideas. That's another reason why I run. I think it's so good when I'm out running. And you have to, because if you run too hard, you're doing it wrong. Outside of that 1 or 2 days a week when you go to the track. So if I was going to make a community, I would have to, or what I would desire to see as a consumer is uh, clearly defined rules within the community, a schedule. So not just random things popping up. Monday motivation. So like a schedule, right? Monday motivation, Tuesday something, Wednesday this, and it's a repeatable schedule that people can look forward to. Uh, and then clear rules of engagement, right? I don't want to go into a community where there's just random posts popping up and I get lost in them, right? I can't find what I'm looking for. It seems like there's no end game, no solid desired outcome.
Yeah.
And not taking a shot at evergreen. It just seems like there's a lot of GIF replies, and sometimes the good replies get hidden. And as a community owner, we would talk about kicking out the cancerous people who are there self-promoting, or the one I saw in the community was like, I'm giving away $1 million to the first person who says great. Yeah, get them out of here.
Yeah,
But
that's the
also
thing.
part of my ground rules would be you can post a GIF, but you've gotta give me something good too. Um, and as a consumer, that's what I kind of what I like to see. And then backing it up a step, if I was going to make a community, back to the infinite game, right? That TED talk I keep mentioning by Simon Sinek is I would have to define an end, right? What do I want to get? That's not a verb. 5% growth in my community quarterly. 95% of users engage on a semi-weekly basis, things like that, right? And then you just kind of keep peeling back that onion to figure out how to get to those desired ends. And really what it's about, and like you said, Brandon, was showing value. What am I here for? There's another community I'm in where one of the perk unlocks is, and I would also lock down original posting past level 2, just to get people kind of in the community. But there's another community I'm in where one of the perks after a level unlock is a Strava audit. And the issue I take is it has not been overtly clear to me why that is valuable to me. So I would offer just like a pinned post or something, some document in one of your classrooms that clearly articulate what this community's vision is, what we want the users to do, and give ground rules for posting and interacting. And that would be my answer to, because I think somebody said it, uh, the outdoors guy, someone left my community and they were overwhelmed.
Yeah.
That's probably why. There's a lot of randomness and there's no method to the madness. So you have to just be intentional. And the one word answer for 2026, intention.
Well, I like that. And I like the consumer aspect too, right? Like on school, no lie, there's a lot of school owners there in a lot of communities. There's
Right.
a lot of people that who know how to school, have it, aren't new anymore. And I think maybe they take things for granted. You get to see some people I see in 50 communities. So I might do a GIF for those people in 10 communities
Yeah.
because I already commented in 10 other communities. But the problem is the people in the 10 where I do the GIF don't know that I've already been commenting to that person
Yeah.
in other communities. So I really, this actually opened up my mind a little bit on a few things. I was like, yeah, I can see that. So thanks for sharing that. As a consumer, because like I said, that's very important.
And then I would say too, is to somebody wanting to create a community, setting the foundation with school members is good. Get your base users in there, but again, I think that's a finite game. Uh, there's got to be organic growth driven from somewhere else too. So I would challenge the community owners out there to meet me, the consumer, where I'm at. I was never on school, so I'd never been in any community. So I would challenge the communities out there who want to be truly exceptional. And like Brandon, you're doing a great job on Facebook and stuff. Meet me where I'm at, demonstrate value, but not too much, and drive me to your community.
Hmm.
Because I'm going to say something that I've seen in 2 years. Right now, there is a thing, and I'm not knocking it. Jack said it yesterday, and it's on all the ads, and people are saying it. Stay on school. I agree. Stay on school.
Yeah,
Go
me
to the
too.
communities. But
I think that school's doing a really good job at advertising the
yeah,
platform on Instagram and Facebook, and then so you have new members coming on the platform. Because I don't want the people who enjoy hanging out on Instagram to come to my school because that's not my demographic. I don't want my school to turn into Instagram. That's not what I want.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to definitely market, and that's how I would use my Instagram, for example, to drive to a school community is if you want to talk about accountability in exercise to grow yourself personally and professionally, the 3,000 people following my Instagram would be great for my school.
yeah,
I don't want school to be Instagram where it's
Mhm.
scrolling through GIFs and silly answers, right? So you have to, and that's the hard part. That's where the organic growth and taking it to the next level, in my opinion, would get a little bit more difficult because you have to stay creative. And that's we're in an immediate uh gratification society,
oh
and
yeah.
you have to just keep sprinkling little seeds, and eventually Brandon has been watering me for 2 years now, and here I am. You know what I mean? Like you gotta play the slow burn with a lot of this, and just keep demonstrating value day in and day out. And if money's your end game, then I would try to redefine what you want to do, because you're not always going to be able to monetize how you want to, and the more people you get in, the odds just go. You know what I mean? The odds would go up. So
And
that's
the,
how
vi-
I would
the
define my desired ends is continual growth from off the platform, right? Converting follows to new school members and seeing 95% of my members engaging on a regular basis. And then I think the rest kind of takes care of itself.
don't underestimate that power that of the person that comes from Facebook or whatever platform that you use and people know you on. If you talk
Right.
about it for 6 months and this is what's happening, this is happening, don't underestimate the power of that person that comes to your community first on school, because what they're going to be is loyal to your community
Yeah.
first on school. And then they might be on 25 other leaderboards, but guess what? They're never going to do. They're never going to turn their back on your school community when they come into you first. Rebecca Martin, it's never going to happen. So don't
And,
lose sight of, yes, 90% of our outreach guys, it should be getting school members because they come in, they know what they're doing, they get in,
yeah.
they take their jacket off and they're good. But those 10% off of social media that don't know what school is, they're going to be loyal to you. They're going to be loyal to you.
And
Got to
don't
keep that.
get frustrated. Don't get frustrated when you don't see the growth you want, right? It's the same again, endurance sport as a vehicle. There is some days I go out and I'm the hammer and I just slam the session. I run the intervals like I needed to run the intervals and I'm feeling good. But then there's other days I go out and I'm the nail. And it's like, man, I'm going on a long run today and I've walked more than I've run. But I showed up and I got it done
Yes.
and I continue at it. Tomorrow won't be the same. So I would just caution against throwing the towel in too early and not taking the punches how they come, because that's a part of it. You figure out what works, what doesn't work, and then you adjust, you refine it, and then you keep going.
I love the how you structure pretty much everything that you do kind of in that start small, refine, baby steps, keep moving forward. You're not going to get there at the beginning. I love how everything kind of follows that pattern for you. And it's obvious of where you are in life, if you ask me. We have to talk about something that I'm not going to let you get away from. There's 12 people live on this call right now.
Good.
You know where I'm going?
I Googled the Marquette Marathon after you talked about it earlier.
So me and
You know
Kyle
what's
have a
funny?
beautiful
Let's
marathon.
go funny for a second. Okay, Brandon, when we were growing up in UP, Michigan, everybody can open up their Maps app, search Ishpeming, Michigan, Ishteming. Put that in the center. When we're driving, when we're kids, brand new cars, whatever, or not, brand new drivers in shitty cars. Uh, I would have thought driving from Ishpeming to Marquette was 100 miles.
Yeah.
Like but I looked at the marathon route and it starts in Marquette, goes to Ishpeming, goes back to Marquette, and then does loops up and down like the coastline. It's like, that's like 10 miles max. Why does it feel so long when we were kids?
Most of the time because there's 30 feet of snow and you gotta drive slow. That's probably it. So with 12 people being on this call, Kyle, I've never done a marathon. I'm not gonna do one this year. I would do a half a marathon. I think I would love that. Marquette, Michigan is
Earn your
both our
progression.
home area. They have a a marathon in the fall, I believe. Kyle
September.
said that if we get the most live members, that he would run his first. Is your first marathon, right?
No, so I did one in Honolulu, right? On the original call, it was I ran it cold, didn't train for it. It was my gut check for Ranger School.
Yeah.
And it was a gut check. Marathon hurt me. I'm more prepared for it now, and I could do a proper build and get there, right? But what this challenge call out was, okay, I'm getting a little too comfortable doing half marathons because I've done it for years, right? I did a 50K as a gut check a couple years ago, but I've been afraid to step up to the marathon distance. And I'm not saying the school channel is going to bully me into it, but where does growth happen? At the edge of uncomfortability, right?
Mm-hmm.
I need someone, and here's me being vulnerable. I would not do it by myself. I need the push. So yeah, if this ends up winning, I'm committed to doing it. And I'm not saying the Marquette Marathon is the one I'll do. It's in September, so I've got time, and I think I could swing it. But I'm committed to letting Evolutions Evergreen push me to be better. And again, the marathon is the vehicle, right? We're not running a marathon to run a marathon. We're running a marathon to go through some adversity, something I haven't done in a while, get through the process, show up ready, and see if we can raise some money for a good cause.
So
Okay, but let's make this measurable then and fair, because I feel like it's a time issue. So obviously we have members from all different time zones. Let's do it
for
this
sure.
way.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Everything is recorded and all the calls
Okay.
are up in the classroom. So let's do it this way. After
Just clicks and watches.
each call, 30 days after it's uploaded, we will record how many views are, and then we will see who's the winner. So everybody has equal amount of time to collect all the views.
I love it. Yeah, because that'd be messed up if on the last day, right? Someone is a rock star. Okay, that's fair. Do you have a way to measure how long somebody watches?
Probably YouTube has analytics for that. So
I'm a
systems girl too, so I'll figure that out.
I don't want Brandon to weaponize Rebecca Martin against me. I just click it and close it.
Oh, I love it. This is gonna stink.
But now that everybody knows that weaponizing Rebecca Martin is out there, you never know. You never know.
You never know. She doesn't sleep much.
She's got to sleep like her life depends on it.
So Kyle,
you hear that, Becca? You hear that, Becca? Wait, I just want to share the card. I don't know if you've watched the replay or the live calls, Kyle, but I draw a card from my little oracle deck each time before a call, and yours is the oracle. So it says, wait for important information, which I find that with your little Bible study, project, it's actually quite fitting. So I hope that this gives you some sort of, food for thought or whatever.
That's good. I'm on the search for what is my purpose. And you go through some trials and tribulations in the endurance sport world because it beats you down so hard. And that's where a lot of answers come to me. I haven't gotten any yet, but I appreciate the card because it's talking to me. Yeah.
Amazing. Love it. So then the last thing left to do is our golden thread question, Brandon.
Yep. Our golden thread question. And everybody watching this call, if you have the capabilities, give Kyle some love, blow him up on Dinka's thread, some emojis just to drive him nuts, maybe a few gifts. Just kidding. Kyle, we ask all of our guests the golden thread question at the end of all of our summit calls. What does evolution mean to you?
Just continually get better and trust the process. I've talked so much about how I use things to get to others' things, right? Other stuff. In Ranger School, they grade you on tactics, but tactics is a vehicle to see how you influence and provide direction to people at their worst. I race half Ironmans and half marathons, and I use the training to get there. But really, the training is a vehicle to live a healthy life, to be able to get up off the toilet when I'm 80. I'm using the Bible study this year to seek answers that I've wanted to find for quite some time. So for me, evolution is, and again, we've already determined that I'm still new at this, is being okay with being uncomfortable to get somewhere that you want to be. And that's, are you uncomfortable barely scraping by like Brandon was for a couple years trying to set this up when nobody believed in you? Look at him now. Is this being uncomfortable crying in front of your family because you finally understand that it's okay to be vulnerable? Using whatever distance race you want to do to establish healthier habits to live a better life. So for me, like I said, evolution is being okay, being uncomfortable, because uncomfortability is where we grow.
I love it
Ah,
that this echoes back again because we had some other guests who said very similar things, and you guys are from totally different walks of life, but it's just maybe that is also the golden thread, just the human experience, and that we all have a very different path, but then certain things kind of echo back and we come to the same conclusion. So I love that. And I want to thank you, Kyle, because you've been very kind with your time and your wisdom and sharing all your expertise. And what I do wish for you, or I invite you, that you offer the same kindness to yourself. You don't exclude yourself from that kindness, because
Thank you.
indeed, um, to me, at least, in the eternal words of RuPaul, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else?
Right.
So,
Yeah. Be okay with
yeah,
dating yourself.
exactly.
thanks, Kyle. You
Awesome.
live
Thank
what it
you.
means to be foundations, man. You have a lifestyle that a lot of us and the way you approach life that is a lot similar to everybody here. And you bring a unique flavor. Keep sharing who you are, your training journeys, your mindset journeys, your Bible journeys. Share everything you're doing with us because we would love to support you. Thanks for everything,
Yep.
Kyle.
And don't let what I'm doing scare you from starting. That's what I will be there in your corner to celebrate every small win, because back to the human experience, it's all about relationships. So nobody's better than anybody else for what they do or don't do. We just got to celebrate the small wins as they come, and build connections. So thanks for having me. I've enjoyed this. This has allowed me some good inward reflection, and really starting my new year off right. So I didn't know where this was going to go. I was skeptical at first, but I'm glad that I made it.
I love that. I think all of these have been amazing. We don't know where they're going to go, and then at the end, it's like that went exactly where it should have went. And
Yeah,
we're
it's crazy,
ramping
right?
this up, continuing all week, guys, all month, as you know. So let's keep Evolution 2026 going strong because it's each one of you guys. Thank you so much. Have a
Love it.
beautiful Sunday. We'll see you in the threads, guys.
Take care, Kyle. Bye bye.
See ya.